How you
Hey,
doing,
Jeremy.
David?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing well. Doing well.
How
Glad
many people? Huh?
it's so far for the moment. It's just you and I. And you know what? That's how the my first webinar played out. It was just me and another customer, Dale
Uh-huh.
Dale Jones, out of Nevada. And so
Uh-huh.
he gave his perspective. And so I mean, this is new, taking a little bit to kind of ramp up, is what I would assume. But
Uh-huh.
I do want this place to be a place where not only can our customers come together, hear maybe some new strategies, or kind of whatever we have planned to discuss in regards to the CRM and how to make it that much more useful for some people, right?
Uh-huh.
Because it's not everybody that signs up do I have the chance to meet, nor do they have the time. So for whatever it is, hopefully this is a place where everybody can come together, meet new agents. If that's the case, if people want to mingle, well then, you know, so far everybody's pretty positive. And so um I leave like the chat open, and I haven't
Uh-huh.
muted anybody or anything like that. I'm keep being kind of liberal with the rules on the chat until somebody breaks them. But other than
Yeah.
that, this is just a perfect place. We do this for another demographic of our customers as well, is host weekly webinars, and so we thought that um, why not for real estate,
Yeah, yeah. Why
so
not?
we plan on having this continue for quite a bit every Wednesday, 12
Uh-huh.
p.m.
Uh-huh.
It's a great place to bring any issues or any future wants that you guys could see. It's
Uh-huh.
a great place to kind of say, hey, do you guys have the chance to create this feature, or about this feature I would like to do this, or any type of insight. I
Yeah,
hope
yeah. It
this
helps
place
everybody out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope this place serves as a place where people can collaborate. And then if we've got a bunch of people with a bunch of different perspectives, weighing in on something, well then I think we would be a lot more prone to get proactive on stuff, because we've got everybody chiming in. So
Oh, for sure.
that's what this is for. I guess we're 5 minutes into it, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and get her started. I've started the recording, so do want to wish everybody watching this recording welcome. Welcome, David. Thank you for showing up. Great to have you here. Today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about, right, is I wanted to maybe kind of, since we're going to be doing this weekly, I wanted to kind of to create maybe kind of um, what was it, more of basics, right? CRM basics, especially with our basics. And I think I've had this kind of conversation with you as well. So you're gonna most likely remember my words. So let me just go ahead and open up another tab. Let me close this, minimize this. All right, let me go ahead and get into my test. Pull up Zoom. Let's share my screen. Where is my test account? Here we go. All right. So you can see my screen, Dave.
Yes, I can.
All right. So I'm in my my little sandbox for real estate. This is our CRM. So when discussing the basics, right? So I think we've had this discussion, and I'd love for you to chime in to give your perspective on it. But
Okay.
every real estate agent has specific duties. Would you say that every real estate agent is the same cookie cutter? No, right?
No.
Every agent doesn't different from the next agent. Their sales flow, their whole kind of the way they do things is, in my opinion, every time I've met a new real estate agent, I've had to be like water and more adjust to their characteristic, and or how they are and how they like to do things. And so I've always got to, be like water, like that one famous
Yeah.
man said. So with that said, I'm going to start with, when talking about the basics, the contact form, right?
Mhm.
These can be, well, this whole, I think it's like almost 38 plus categories that you guys will have and can customize, right?
Mhm.
So obviously people aren't going to want to, use and switch the first name slot for something else. Um, and then if you do, obviously it'll make it a little bit more complicated, but you can smart tag, right? First name into emails, which would then customize emails when you send them out in bulk, right?
Mhm.
So wouldn't want to mess around with this, but I do feel it's important for the agent to know what they have available as information to capture and save, such as preferred communication style. I think a lot of people overlook this. I think we've got just hard-coded email, phone, and text, but you can basically, if you have people that like emails and text, right, you can do that. I think this is huge because right now, Google, Yahoo, many mail servers are detecting spam like crazy. Now we've got phone carriers um, with withholding um, what is it messages to specific people, right? So they're, if it's detected as spam, you know what I mean? They're gonna go ahead and just not send it. Basically, they'll just somehow mute you, which is not frustrating, but I mean, if you're, trying to get your message out, I would say it is frustrating if you have these little pitfalls. So one thing that you can do is find out what's their communication style, and hopefully they engage via that method. So if they say text, well, then hopefully they go back and forth with you in text, which would show that they want to receive these messages opposed to they don't want to receive these messages. So I think it's important. I think the agent should at some point classify this and their contacts so that they can then market appropriately, right? They can either do campaigns via text messaging or they can do email stuff, newsletters, and things like that. But to the people that really want it and open it, because then it's going to help kind of keep the your email score at a high rate, or at a high score, which would be better than having a low score. And so it hurts you to send 100 emails to people and nobody opens your email. And if people classify it as phishing or spam or things like that, that also hurts you. So you want to do your best to send the material to the people that really want to get it, open it, engage with it. That's going to help you. That's going to get emails to land at the top of the inbox and not in spam and things
Yeah.
like that. So, um, huge. This little category, agents should definitely keep this in mind, and all the categories, right? No, so basically the first 10, I would say, are typical. You want to know where the people are. If you have cities, if you have zip codes, I've had people break up their database based off of zip codes, based off of cities. They've kind of created counties that they work in. And then they also kind of, by breaking it up like that, they have, um, they can they can send specific marketing material to specific areas, right? Let's say one area is, got new developments, and let's say it's a real hot area. Well, then, you can report on those kinds of things and send it out to specific people that hopefully with sourcing that you can um, get a better response. At the end of the day, that's what you want. You want engagement and get people to either be top of mind, let them still know that you're working the area, and that they can contact you at any moment for any questions, kind of positioning yourself as like a true resource when it comes to real estate, right? So, um, now when it comes to professional information, this is totally up to the users, right? Like what's important to you guys? What do you need to capture? And know by just going down to here, you have a place where you can now edit all of these. So if it's really that you don't really need to capture the title, you want to capture something else, you could do that right here. You could change it, save it, and then this will all of a sudden, when you go back to your contact, be the new title that you wanted. And now you have another category that you can see. So like job title and title could be redundant, right? You could even have this as pet's name, so that so you always keep the person's pet and you know the name. At the end of the day, having those details at your fingertips so that when you're having conversations, um, I mean, if you're able to remember these details and engage and have a true conversation with people, they're going to remember you a lot more than somebody that, doesn't know all these details. So that's the benefit of, going through this list and truly seeing what you need, right? And then capturing that information and then utilizing it, right? So that's key. Referral source. Sorry, this is referral, and then we've got referral source. So under referral source, you can manage items and you can create all of the categories that you feel you need. Like referral agent, you could use referral agent here, and then you can also kind of put the referral, like who it came from, like if it's through an agent, that way you can begin to track these kind of things and see, what agents really are helping you. Maybe that means, you know, if you can start focusing on maybe sending business his way, that way it's a little bit of back and forth. We've got categories of buyer and seller. So these are hard coded, but if you wanted to add more to break up your categories, you certainly can, or add, like pre-foreclosures or, um, first time buyer or whatever the category might be that you feel you need.
Okay.
Definitely you want to create them, right? So that you can use them. And with this, you can edit all of these categories and you can call it something else and you can definitely add to it. So here we've got the typical cold, warm, and hot categories. But if you wanted to have lukewarm, if you wanted to have dead lead, active, um, I would say please do so. You know what I'm saying? And this is where if you wanted to build kind of your sales flow or how you want to break up your database, whether past clients, marketing, you know, that I've seen many different ways agents break this down, right? Um, let me see what else. And so this is what I wanted to talk about today. Now, David, in your case, you've gone through this, right? And you've kind of kept the ones that you like. Have you changed any? Did you feel that you needed to make changes, or did you just basically keep it the same when it comes to your categories? Did you?
I've basically kept it the same, but I have added a few items so I can filter some of the things I'm working on, but
Okay.
basically left it the same.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that's good. Now, I've seen a lot of people kind of do the wedding anniversary and turn this into maybe like home anniversary. What I would say is, if you like the home anniversary thing, this is still something good to kind of know maybe when somebody's, if it's a family, when their wedding anniversary is, or maybe some other type of anniversary that you might want to make a note of. But you can through our transactions, right? So you can create a contact. They can then purchase a home or sell a home and they'll have a transaction saved to their account. And in that transaction, you'll see that there's details that times like closing date, other dates that you can note. So we can also do send, or what is it? If you wanted to automate, we could set up automation through the transactions that they have. So if they have a transaction and they have a closing date on a sale or a purchase of a home, they're well, I guess it would be for the purchase. So on the purchase transactions, if it has a close date, that would be the anniversary date, and you can set up automated, reoccurring every year messages congratulating them, or even setting up kind of like an appointment for you to do something, right? You can set it up to where it's either 15 days in advance so that you know, and maybe you want to do something nice, kind of, go to a local bakery, get some cookies, show up, and do like a hand delivered kind of nice little gift. Totally up to you. I've seen many people do many different things when it comes to the automating, whether if it's just a simple email, nice little text, those things are heartfelt. But there's nothing like getting a phone call from somebody and having, a little moment to chat. There's also one person wanted to know 10 days in advance. They wanted the appointment to show up on their calendar. And what they were doing was they would just pick out of a box of um, anniversary cards, and they would actually physically write a handout message and then put it in the mail. And with about 10 days in advance, she said that it always ended up getting to the person's on close to the anniversary date or straight on the date. So um, you can do those things as well, right? And that definitely is going to keep you in your buyers and in your past clients um, uh, top of mind. And we get into referrals, right? Why do you want to be on top of mind, especially with your past clients? Is because we want to turn them into advocates, and we want them to either talk about your excellent service and then promote you, right, to their family and friends. And hopefully from your past clients, you can begin to build a book of consistent kind of, you know what I mean? Because if an agent can get 10, 15 deals from its past clients, I definitely think that would, help him survive uh, months with low activity, low engagement, things like that. So it's just a thought. And through the backbone of your categories and the kind of information that you're capturing is going to allow you to best engage with these people. You know what I mean? So I feel this part a lot of people overlook. A lot of people just come in, keep the same categories, but they don't have a game plan. And I feel it's better to think this through well, and in some cases, put it to memory. Because if you put it to memory, now we're talking that when you're speaking with somebody, you know exactly what to go through. And if it was me, I would have the app or the browser opened up on my phone. And if I'm capturing somebody's information and I'm having a talk with them, I would be going right down this list and capturing every bit of information I can pull out of the ether through the conversation with the person, categorize it. Now, we haven't talked about groups or spheres, which here is labeled as categories, but you can you can rename these as tags, badges, spheres, circles, whatever it is that you want as a category name, you can set it. And now you can have all kinds of information, right? Whether you could make one of these groups, like you can create a marketing sphere or group, and every contact that you have that has this sphere, you can then use it for bulk messaging, and you can do weekly kind of newsletters anytime you have listings um, and things like that. And that way you can just quickly either have a saved view, right, by going to your contacts and using filters. And so based on the filters that you have here, you can have these views. So you could have a marketing view, and then that can take you, or mailing list, right? Whatever it may be, but you select your view. I don't have anybody that is in that at the moment, but those people that show up in that filter would then show up. That way you can quickly, easily, um, or you can quickly just grab them all. And then now you can do a bulk message, a bulk text message, email it to everybody, um, and you're off to the races, right? If you use smart tags in your emails, everything is going to be addressed to the person's name. So be careful what you have such as Patricia E. If it was myself, I wouldn't have maybe the E there and just have it Patricia so that when I use the smart tag, it's just going to address Patricia. Um, and then looks like if you wanted to note
You
her
talk
full
about
name,
out loud. I was listening to my TV in here.
thanks, David. Um, so, um, where was I? Yeah, so you could most likely in another place note their full name, maybe in salutation, or maybe here you put E Werner. Basically up to you where you want to keep that information. But when it comes to sending out and using smart tags, definitely I would keep the middles initials out. So in discussion with uh, the basics, right? I think this is the number one thing that an agent needs to do before kind of going to town and start using the CRM. Because, and I think I've said this to you, David, before, is like, it's better to do all these things now when it's quiet and you're starting it out until you
Yeah.
start, sending out emails with people and then people start engaging. And then let's say you integrate some lead source because we can also integrate lead sources. And if you turn on the faucet, now you haven't really thought this out. So you're just putting in information. You're not really kind of doing anything with any kind of set plan. I think you could be spinning your wheels and it's going to get stressful, right? Especially when all the attention comes in, you're going to kind of be running around, like a chicken with your head cut off. What do you think? Is that a safe assessment, David?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
Yeah.
no, I know so because kind of there right now trying to clean up what I didn't set in the beginning, but it's working.
What are some of the things that you didn't set? Maybe some other people might possibly be going through the same thing. And so I'd love to have it as an example for others to keep in mind. What were you thinking about?
I guess the grouping and then also the follow up, because we dumped about 700 leads in from a lead source
Okay.
and they're all different temperature, some ignoring, some say they're not ready. So trying to fix those filters so that we can make sure we're doing the proper follow up at the right time.
Absolutely. Dispositioning is huge, right? Because if
Mhm.
you're not dispositioning and you're not capturing that, well, then you're going to have 700 leads that to the plain eye, they're all 700 in a group. So it's kind of looking like at a plate of pepper. You know what I mean? You can see a bunch of specs on it, but nothing is broken up into sections. You don't know what's good, what's bad. So it's definitely going to cause things to fall through the cracks. It's going to cause headache for you to try to manage this and try to stay on
Mhm.
top of it. And so, yeah, and here you can capture. So when you're thinking of your groups, have you thought of how many different things you can capture with this? Like here we have hot leads. These are tags I didn't create. This is just a sandbox that we use for demoing and things like that. And so I've had people, there's a lot of the ninjas. You've heard of those sale ninjas or the real estate ninjas.
Yeah.
I've come across with a handful of them, right? So um, they have their little circle groups, and I've had one guy that had like a whiskey tag, and then I recognized that he had sports like football, uh, baseball, basketball. And what I ended up finding out is that he would give those tags to his past clients and clients, to be clients. And it was so that he knew kind of like what what really kind of what entertainment they liked, right? So his little whiskey group, if I remember correctly, he would I don't know if he would host events or possibly maybe get a nice fine bottle of some fine whiskey and share it with his groups or with the people of that group and have
Mhm.
I don't know invite them over and do some tasting and then that's a great time to obviously put on something nice for the people that have done something for you. That's another way to stay
Yeah.
top of mind and it's always a great place to talk business to bring future people friends of them to meet. Hey, want to bring you to this thing that I'm going to, and I want you to meet my agent friend. He was the one that helped us. Having that kind of introduction is beautiful, especially for an agent. It's kind of like laying the red carpet down for you. And I know every agent would rather sell and deal with that business
Mhm.
over taking possibly maybe a new client, right? Because new clients, they don't know you from Shinola, right? And in some cases, they're not engaging, you know what I mean? And sometimes the agents have, they're coming from a good place. However, sometimes other people, a little bit difficult to kind of light the fire. So with that said, it's up to you, like, how you want to monitor it, but creating these. And so I've seen like vendor is a category, but I've also had somebody where they had construction, painting, and they were also capturing all these different contractors' numbers because people come to them and say, hey, do you know a guy that does good floors? And for you to be able to be a real estate agent and be able to go to your CRM, pull up that person, or in fact, pull up all of them and then say, I'm going to write an email that gives this person, let's just say, 3 or 4 or 5 contacts to somebody that can do the job and let them pick. I mean, I think not only would you be helping other people help you, but if one of those contractors maybe had somebody that was looking for a good real estate agent and you've sent him countless people to do floors and remodel and things like that, I would definitely think he would probably think of you, right?
Oh,
So now,
yeah.
so now you've got business going back and forth, and once again, you're put on the red carpet. So you come in as a knowledgeable person. Plus, the recommendation is worth its weight in gold. So, you know, this is how you would be able to achieve that effortlessly instead of you trying to go through your phone's contact. And if you don't have means to, categorize and find those people, you could do that easily through the CRM, and you can create views all off of these categories. So sky's the limit, and you can literally create. I don't think there's a limit to how many items you can create as spheres and into both of these categories. So I would go to town. And in fact, I've seen somebody that had so many of these, I almost scrolled for like 5 seconds of just spheres after spheres after spheres. I don't know how she maintained them all, but um, that was her. And there's tricks that you can do as well by like categorizing using the beginning. Like if you wanted to have a series of spheres to be grouped, you could use either alphabet. So you can alphabetize by either doing an A space, and then everything that will show up under your A's will show up. It'll all be kind of alphabetized and grouped, if that helps. Um, I think it's better to do that and not to have um, everything everywhere and scattered, because that would require you to kind of know exactly where is everything. I see this Ford. You familiar with what the acronyms to Ford is? Family, friends and family, occupation, recreation, and
No, I
then
didn't. Yeah.
the D is uh, dreams. So what I've heard is if you could know these things
Mhm.
and you are engaging with these people, you should be able to actively listen. And at some moment through conversation, there will be a life event that is connected to
Yeah.
a real estate transaction.
Mhm.
And apparently that is the right moment to kind of pounce instead of always kind of being like a used car salesman and calling up people, hey, can I help you? Hey, can I help you? Hey, can I help you?
Yeah.
Opposed to, oh, I can hear you need help. You know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
people will obviously engage a lot different. So with that said, um, definitely you got to think of your categories and you know what? It's never too late. Anytime you have a new category, and you need to think of it like you're thinking of one, create it. It's not going to
Mhm.
hurt you. It's not like you're going to run out of, slots, but create it, apply it to that person. I am almost 100%. You're going to speak to somebody else and you're going to say, you know what, this person could use this badge, this tag, this group, and then it's going to build. You know what I mean? And then if you start thinking, you can start combing through your list. You know, let's say
Mhm.
all of these 147 people um, could possibly use the same tag. Well, now with mass edit, we can go to our categories, and now I can give everybody, you know what I mean? One of
Mhm.
these, one of these tags and such, and then I can use it as a filter, and I can always use that information for, always being on the, always knowing the details. And then another thing that you mentioned was like the stages. And so we've got lead labels in which for real estate agents, we've got a couple of you know, potential lead. So you can give a contact a potential lead and you can filter by these, by the way. And we've also got price range. So if you've got somebody that's active or has expressed the price range, or maybe you feel that they're in a specific price range and you want to make a note of that, you can. Um, Target profile. So we've got a bunch of real estate profiles that you can use, such as second home, whether if they're both a buyer or a seller, or they're just a buyer or they're just a seller, or if they're looking to rent, if neither, luxury buyers, investors. So here is a great place to, if you've got an investor, either through here, make a note of it, or create a sphere and have those. That way, let's say you get an opportunity, let's say, some guy who owns some development and they've got 20, 30, 40 homes, they want to just package deal them and sell them off to somebody. So now you can quickly search your investors, create a template email, and send it out to everybody. And the whole point is that if one of your, one of the people in your investor groups decides to take it, well then you've just, you've just initiated and pulled a deal out of the air, right? Which nowadays with lead sources, you've got to give commission of your, a percentage of your commission that you're making on the deals, sometimes as a form of a kickback, right? So
Mhm.
wouldn't it be better for you to farm your own opportunities?
For
I,
sure.
I
Yeah.
think it would be just definitely a no-brainer. And having
Mhm.
a system that allows you to categorize, disposition, um, you know, and then in your case, you're using an assistant, right?
Yeah, VA. Mhm.
So you've got somebody else going through all of these lists. So you've got a place where they can also, instead of just making notes on some Excel and then sending you the Excel saying, all right, I called everybody. No, well, now you can give them access to a CRM and they can come in here and physically disposition the lead. And then you can come in at night and you can kind of see what kind of activity took place. Not only can you see it based off of last modified, right? So, it helps you monitor your business. It costs money to get to pay for VAs and to have help, whether if it's, somebody abroad or somebody locally helping you, whatever it is, it still costs money. And this is a way that you can kind of monitor your business, stay on top of it. And what can I say? If you don't, deals will fall through the cracks. If you do, you're definitely going to be maximizing your efforts. And I hope nothing falls through the cracks, right?
Yeah.
So truly, um, this is a base that is it's like a foundation when it comes to the basic, I feel, of getting into a CRM. And then when you have done all of this, right, and have basically every slot, I would say, try to find something to capture, whether if it's, just details about the person's life. At the bottom, there is goals, target price, comments. If you want to keep this place for like the most recent comment that you want to have just at eyes view, so that you don't have to go in to the customer's kind of, so like in this case, if I go into this lead, this doesn't have any comments, but if you're saving them only here as notes, well, then you'll have to go in to each and every contact to read the notes. But if you save the most recent comment in comments, right? So if I
Yeah.
go ahead and do a blah, 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 and we save, and then we're over here where our columns, and we can actually make columns show up. So comments, and now we can hit show data. Well, now you can see blah, blah, blah. This is what in his comments. And so at a bird's eye view, you can definitely follow up and kind of say, oh, okay, these were my last comments about him, or this is, where we last left. Another
Yeah.
thing you can do is if you're sending out email campaigns, if you're sending out text messages, email campaigns with text messages, you can set up these. And not only can you see who you've emailed, but you'll kind of see when's the last time they've opened up something, how many emails you've sent them, are they reading the emails, are they receiving the text messages, when was the last time I got a reply from them, right? All of this details definitely is good insight to um, to like what agents are doing. Now, for me, I would never disclose this information to the customers. I feel that this is something that it's best for you to know so that you can kind of pull, because we all know buyers are liars. Am I right?
Mm.
So they're gonna lie to you.
Mm.
They're and so here's the best way to see if you really have, a true fish on the hook, somebody that's honest with you, feeding you details instead of somebody that's just, kind of pulling you along. Hopefully through this, you can kind of really see, what kind of candidate the person is and whether if your marketing is getting to them or if your emails are getting to them. Um, it's always good, plus like with this one, um, I've had people say, uh, in regards to like this webinar that we're doing. We had a past customer. I told her about the event. She goes, "No, I didn't even know you guys were doing this." And I said, "Well, I did send out an email." She says, "No, I never got no email." I was able to go to the CRM where I did send this, and I found, and I gave her the timestamp, and I told her to go to the date and time, and she was able to go to the date and time and pull up the email. She opened it, and then all of a sudden I saw when it got the double check, it showed up the date and time. And so for whatever reason, it got, you know, buried in her email communications, but I was able to pull out the date and time. She was able to see it, and she was like, nope, you're right. I did get it, which I was 100% confident that she did. And so being able to do that, I think is extremely important. Why? Because it's an old email that you went and physically got her to, and in some cases by her just doing that, it'll let her email account know that this was an email that she either wanted. Now if she found it in spam, I would definitely tell people, hey, just go ahead and put it into your inbox. If you're able to do that, hats off, because now messages should be just going straight through, no problem, right? And then when you send out more material and more stuff to her, it's most likely going to be at the top. She'll be able to engage with it. And so there, it's just a matter of, what kind of emails you're going to write, what kind of material you're going to put out there and stuff like that, right? So um, definitely this is just a tip of the iceberg. I can definitely go hours. Um, I, and I think you can attest to it, David, I like sales. I like using a CRM to leverage technology and to make me. And then so for one person, like your VA, how many people do you think she's able to kind of touch in a day's work? Is she into the hundreds, or is she just, you know, working low at a time? Because people should be able to leverage with this CRM and the bulk email capabilities and the way that you can, email 6 people of the same topic at the same time and customize the email so that everybody feels like it's made for them. Um, one person should be able to leverage themselves to manage 1,000 contacts. But tell
Mhm.
me, do you see your VA actually, reaching out to a lot more people than if she just were to have an email, an Excel list, and maybe, like a phone, access to like text messaging or some phone service?
Oh, for sure, because if you categorize them, then she can send out a lot, at one time, because you can set up different responses and then put them in the different categories. So we're
Yep,
starting to do that, but it takes time to get it set up too, because of the fact
absolutely.
we have so many different categories.
Yep. And you got to break down, you got to mind map it. You know what I mean? You got to
Hmm.
mind map it, kind of know your categories. Now, obviously, if you can integrate those kinds of workflow within your system so that you're also dispositioning, I think
Hmm.
that that's also going to be the the key to getting her up to, being able to deal with many more people than
Hmm.
than normal. So I'm good. I'm glad to hear that she is dealing with more people and leveraging the CRM. And so for today, that's what I wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you would like to add, David? It may be something I didn't mention, something that you possibly thought of.
No, and just covering the basics. I'm a little further along in that, but still covering the basics over again every time. There's so much in this that you learn an extra step that you can use. So, um, yeah, no,
Absolutely.
you well covered it, and no, I think the most important thing is getting your own system set up of what you're going to use.
Correct, correct. Syncing your system to
Hmm.
this system is the first thing that needs to be,
Yeah.
managed. And I feel going through your contact list, knowing what information you can capture is going to be first step. Once you've done this, okay, now we can start to bring in leads. We can then start to bring in, if you wanted to bring in some message templates, right?
Hmm.
So if you now wanted to start building your consistent emails, the emails that I had a job once that was in a casino, and they told me, you know what, get ready. You're in about a month. You're going to be sending out all the emails, and I think in the beginning they were trying to scare me because obviously it's a big responsibility to a major
Hmm.
sports book that is,
Hmm.
you know, thousands of clients. You now have to be what is the voice, right? So what I did was I started shadowing the person that did that job, and I started creating my own emails based off of the templates that I would see that were going out consistently.
Hmm.
And then I just reproduced them, created them for myself. And I had, I think, what, close to 30, 40 different templates for many different situations. But all I had to do when they said, "Hey, Jeremy, today's your day," I was able just to use all my templates and I was firing them out. Everything was spelled correctly. You know what I mean? Everything was done
Hmm.
well where I didn't look like a bonehead sending out a bunch of emails to people. And
Yeah.
so they were impressed. They were impressed
Yeah.
that I was able to, you know, take responsibility for it real quick. And I have to say, it was based on the message templates, being able to save all these templates and build them for myself. I was I wasn't even
Yeah.
thinking about the job. I was just using my templates. And then with having templates, you can go into the action plans and you can import stuff and then create your own action plans. Action plan is going to be a whole nother conversation, but um, and that I would say that's more for the advanced.
Hmm.
I'd say
Yeah.
we're going to go through a couple of beginner things. I think you're definitely in the advanced, and I definitely thank you for showing up and
Yeah.
and dropping your 2 pennies in the bucket.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, this is what I have planned, and in stored for the next Wednesdays is just more CRM basics. Once we kind
Mhm.
of cover this, we're going to get a little bit more into some advanced. And anytime anybody has any issues that you'd like to address or talk about, and deal with here. I'm always free to take any questions or any thoughts on new stuff that we can do. And so,
Okay. Okay. I
well,
look
David.
forward to coming every Wednesday for sure.
Oh, nice. Well, you got a spot. I'll save you a nice
Yes.
little spot here for you to come, and that invitation goes for everybody as well. So if you're checking this out on one of our recordings, feel free to either reach out to me. You've got my email up at the corner, phone number, and anytime you need to reach out to me, and if you need to, if you need to get on the list for the invitation, I'll definitely do that. Or if you have anybody else that you'd like to invite, agents that are looking for a CRM, I'd love to entertain people and have them come and see what kind of CRM we have. So I thank everybody and yourself, David, for showing up.
Mhm.
So
Thanks for it. Thanks for the input and the help for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure, David. You have a great day, and everybody else as well.
All right.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.